Hi everyone, welcome to 5 Quote Shakespeare Hamlet Theme Analysis. In this series, we looked at a total of 14 different themes, and in this one, we're going to finish up the Revenge mini-series. In the Revenge mini-series, there were a total of 4 videos. In the first one, we looked at the 4 revenge subplots and tried to explain their significance. In the second one, we looked at Hamlet's revenge dilemma and tried to explain why he couldn't commit revenge due to conflicting cultural influences. In the third video, we looked at the revenge genre itself and we explored some of its plot features and compared it to the film John Wick. And in this video, we'll do the thematic features to finish up the miniseries. Yeah, the John Wick part was a lot of fun, that was for sure. What I do in each video is first identify the important aspects of the theme and apply it to the play, and then we dig deeply into the text of each play and pull out several quotes to prove the connection. If you find these videos useful, please like and subscribe, and if you make a donation, you get a complete set of the PDFs I use in this series. See the description for details. In a revenge story, there's always an acceptance of death. The hero knows that he's a hero, and the hero knows that he might not come out of this alive. And in a revenge tragedy, of course, that's the definition of a revenge tragedy, is that they don't come out of it alive, but they do heal the wasteland. Very often, there's a complicating issue here. There's very often a death wish. The hero is going towards his own death willingly, and no, not just willingly, but happily. They actually don't want to live, and that's very often the case, and it's certainly the case with Hamlet, and it's somewhat the case with John Wick, as I'll explain. So the death wish, the death acceptance can be driven by 2 forces. One, as we've said, self-hate results in a death by cop wish. Feelings of unworthiness convince the hero that he doesn't deserve to live. Certainly Hamlet, and he says that many times in the play. You might remember a few already. So another force that drives this death wish or acceptance is simply the noble heroic quality of stoicism. The stoic voluntary self-sacrifice drives the hero forward despite the likelihood of death. Harry Potter faces Voldemort knowing that he might not survive because Voldemort is much more powerful than him. That's the Christ story. That's the Christ self-sacrifice. This is a still from John Wick, and you can't really see it very well, but here the play actually opens with the hero's death. There it is. The death and resurrection of the hero. The story opens with what we think is a scene of John Wick dying, but he's resurrected at the end, much to our glee. So often both of these motivations, the self-hate and the heroic stoicism, both of these motivations are present. The death wish produces pity and compassion. Hamlet's tortured soul, Hamlet's tortured, relatable sensitivity makes us feel tremendous compassion and pity for him. The death acceptance, it's not compassion or pity. Well, it's compassion and pity for when the hero dies. But the death acceptance is a noble quality. That stoicism is something that we actually admire. So the death acceptance produces admiration and identification. We all want to be the guy who would throw himself in front of a bus to save a child. We want to be that guy, and that's why we watch these stories over and over. John Wick 4 just came out recently. I haven't seen it yet, but apparently it's pretty good. We watch it again and again because we want to be that guy. That's what identification is. So that admiration and identification, watching the hero be tortured like this for a good cause, is ennobling our own inevitable deaths and providing assurance that life is only seemingly futile and can be redeemed by correct action. One of the reasons, if not the most important reason, why we love Hamlet is because of the beautiful existential poetry. The same with Macbeth. Shakespeare does this so well. He presents the question, why bother? Why bother? He says right here, death is a consummation devoutly to be wished, for who would bear the whips and scorns of time? And he goes on and on and on. Who would suffer like you suffer, ladies and gentlemen? Why do that when very, very easily you just kill yourself and it's all that suffering is over? Why go through it? It's a very good question, and it's a question we've been asking for 400 years here, but we've been asking that question for much longer than that, and we will continue to ask that question. We will never stop asking that question, and we need great, lovely thinkers to provide answers. John Wick provides an answer to that, and that's that logical nihilism. It's logical to think in these terms, but John Wick finds a great counter-argument, which is what? It's what it is in Harry Potter. It's what it is in every story that we return to again and again and again. It's love. Watch Harry Potter again. Read those books again. Okay, so yes, that life is only seemingly futile, but redemption is possible if we act correctly. So here's the John Wick situation. So John is driven primarily by the self-sacrifice and in pursuit of justice. So that's it. He's not quite as wishy-washy as well, that's an understatement. He's not as wishy-washy as Hamlet. Something sacred, love, has been violated, and John Wick is going to set the worlds to right. Okay, so there's the heroic stoicism, but an acceptance of death. But there are hints here that he is filled with self-hate, and I've touched on them a little bit already in this video. So hints of self-hatred are also present in the sheer abandon of his pursuit. Didn't you get the feeling when you watched that film that, yeah, ooh, there's something wrong with this guy. He's filled with rage, and he's charging into a mess where, yeah, he's going to do his darndest because that's what he's good at. He's good at getting revenge and killing people, but he doesn't care whether he or not he lives. Do you see? Didn't you get that sense? I did. And you can add to that the conviction that he is a profane. He's not sacred. He's the opposite of sacred, which is profane. He's a monster. He's a profane, cursed monster that doesn't deserve to live among the sacred, the lovely wife and the dog, which is a symbol of that love. He doesn't deserve that kind of love. He feels that. He really, really does. When he says, do I look civilized to you? And here, the villain, I forget the guy's name, the villain, Vigo says, this life of killing, it clings to you and me. It infects everyone that we come close to. So, John Wick, you've polluted your wife. You've polluted that love, that sacredness. You've polluted it, you profane monster. We are cursed. And John doesn't necessarily say no. I can't remember what his response was. But anyway, we do feel do I look civilized to you? That's his response. And so he says, no, I am that monster. You are right, Vigo. I am a monster. And I wish, and part of me wishes that I could just die in this particular scene. It's more complex. John Wick is more complex than we might think on the surface. So here's Hamlet with a clear death wish. This is not courage. Early in the play, he says, why? Horatio says, don't go look at the ghost because you might die. And Hamlet says, so? Why? What should I fear? I do not set my life at a fee's pin. That's not a good sign. That's a death wish. And he's clearly got mental issues. Lots of them depressive, psychological neurosis that he has. Go back and watch that video that I did and come back for my future videos. I'm going to go into those in a lot more detail. So here, we've already looked at this one, the logical nihilism that needs an answer. We all must find an answer to this logical nihilism. And John Wick helps us. And Hamlet does too. The ending of Hamlet is inspirational, as I've argued before, and I will argue again. So here he says with the John Wick comment, I am a monster. He says many, many times in the play, actually says, he rants at Ophelia, I am myself only a little bit honest, but yet I could accuse myself of such things that it were better my mother had not borne me. We are errant knaves all, he says. Nobody deserves to live. That's the voice of a naive person. No, not naive, rather. Idealistic. He sees the flaws in human nature, and he hates it, and he refuses to accept it, and he wants all of us to die because we're all corrupt, DC. And that's true. We are all corrupt in our own ways. We are all terribly flawed. You've got to find a counter-argument to that logical nihilism. And it's love, ladies and gentlemen. That's all it is. It's love. Every book, every poem, every time that question comes up, that's the only answer that I can see that is relevant. There is some pretty nihilistic literature out there, and Shakespeare's King Lear is very, very nihilistic. But even in King Lear, what makes it so lovely? It's the potential for love. At the very minimum, it's the potential for love, and that's what redeems us. It does. So here he is with a very passive. Here's his death wish at the end, not death by cop, but death by providence. Let luck, let God's hand end me. I don't really care anymore. There's a resigned death wish in this face, a kind of nihilism. What's the point? If nothing matters anyway, what's the point? And he says here, if it be not now, if my death isn't now, it's going to happen in the future. If it be not in the future, it will be now. So who really cares? If it be not now, yet it will come. There's no avoiding death. We're all going to die. So why bother with the whips and scorns of time? Why not just get it over with now, is what he's saying.
Since no man knows what he's going to leave behind, if you die, you can't see your future anyway, so maybe your future was going to suck anyway, but you don't know if it was going to be good, so you're not going to miss anything if you die. So what is it to leave betimes? What if we just die now? Let it be. So there's that nihilism, he's totally giving up. There's no heroism in this at all. It's not. It's a negative nihilism. Nihilism is nothing but negative. He hasn't come to terms with what it means to be human and to what it means to forgive ourselves for being flawed humans. Revenge will have revenge. Blood will have blood. And that was 5 Quote Shakespeare Hamlet theme analysis, the end of the Revenge mini-series. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, come back for my next video, Thought versus Action. If you found these videos useful, please like and subscribe, and if you make a donation, you get a complete set of the PDFs I use in this series. See the description for details. Thanks for watching.